Hey everybody, I'm Tim Conkle, CEO of the 20. I have with me John Blakey, who is the CIO, in other words, the real brain behind everything. And we're here today to talk a little bit about our transition on endpoint. But before I get there, let me tell you this. What is the 20? Because a lot of people ask that question. It's literally a huge group of MSPs that literally got together and said, hey, let's all scale together. And we really live off of three pillars, which is lead gen, sales, and scale. So if you take those three things, we all do them together to create a national footprint. We consist now of about 150 brick and mortar locations across the U.S. And we found ourselves in a place that, one, when we standardize, we try to go best in class with all of our tools. And we found a few challenges along our endpoint. And I'll kind of go to Jonathan as to kind of why we started looking for a differentiator or a different endpoint solution.
Yeah, we saw we were having more and more kind of those white knuckle experiences with some of the latest ransomware and different attacks that were coming out. And so we wanted to be more confident. We wanted to be more sure that we were going to keep up and be able to fend off the attacks as the landscape kept evolving and evolving into more and more advanced and unseen, never seen before attacks. So we wanted that confidence back that we were going to be able to grow with and advance with the landscape of the malware that we were seeing out there.
Yeah, and I think if you look at that, again, time is money, and the more time that we contract, the better off we are. If we're really doing cool stuff in the IT space for our clients, rather than trying to remove crypto locker or ransomware or any of those things. So it starts to get scary all of a sudden when your tools may detect something but not go any further than that. So a lot of mitigation that has to be done at what I like to call the hand level, the tech level. And so I think Jonathan is right when we start talking about, okay, because it's big for us. When we start talking about changing a tool that we use, you're moving a lot of clients. I think there's 8,000 plus clients that we literally support now. So when we say, hey, we're going to just move, we don't move because we woke up and thought, hey, it'll be fun to move or we can save a dime. I think even Jonathan would probably agree that this was not really a how can we save money on an endpoint. With the cost of the actual endpoint itself, I think it was more that thrust towards how can we save money by contracting time. And obviously, it's probably why we were looking. When we start to think about looking at things, why did we look at Deep Instinct?
Well, I mean, we had been hearing some of the noise around a lot of your big search engine providers and things like that getting into the realm of deep learning and these deeper levels of using artificial intelligence to better search results, to anticipate needs before they're there. And we had heard of a company that was using that in the antivirus and the malware world to be able to advance with the landscape of the threats that were out there without human intervention. And that sounded a whole lot like what we needed to be able to stay ahead of those threats and with what was going on. So that's all we needed to take a look at it and see what was there.
I think looking from less of a technical look into it, I think Jonathan looks at it from a technical level. Obviously, that's why I CIO and I'm not. But from kind of a non-technical thing, even myself, it was easy for me to understand that if ransomware gets on a machine and it executes, and at that moment of execution, something on the endpoint says, this probably shouldn't run, and stops it. The question becomes, what damage has been done in that moment, in that time? So it amazed me when we first started looking at Deep Instinct and they start talking about, well, we prevent it from executing. Think about that at some level. We prevent it from executing, which means they prevent the mitigation of it, any repercussion of it executing, and all of that stuff. So to be honest with you, from a non-technical look into it, I was amazed by the difference in what it does. It prevents instead of protecting.
Yeah.
Which was crazy for me. I'm like, wow, this is actually a tool that it's not about, hey, we just detected something for you. Now you have to jump through hoops and make something happen, to, hey, we just prevented this from happening. Now go look at it, which was really a cool dynamic for me. I think the other thing, if you start looking at requirements, and I think Jonathan can probably answer this, from the 20's perspective, requirement-wise, was there anything that Deep Instinct had to do for us to really make it work for us?
Yeah, so when we look at solutions with the 20, we, as was mentioned, we have to offer value there, especially when we're talking about changing from an existing solution to a new one. Our business model and the way we operate is fairly unique in the marketplace, where our partners like to have full control of things. They want to get their hands in it. They want to be able to control it because their clients are counting on them to do that. So that requires a level of multi-tenancy with the software that's out there. And so Deep Instinct was primarily an enterprise level tool that was used internally in companies and wasn't originally built out that way. In working with us, they stepped up and designed a multi-tenant infrastructure to be able to have very granular control over the security levels down to the endpoint, having control of just what they could see, and an internal IT user versus one of our clients versus us at the top level. So it was very, very nice what they built out for us.
Which was really cool. So not only did the 20 identify that Deep Instinct was a great tool, I think Deep Instinct had to flip around and identify the 20 as being a really, really good potential partner, or somebody they want to do business with, in order to, one, invest in all of this development work to make something that is really built for an enterprise. You walk in, you install it, and one guy looks at a portal and everything is cool, right? To a different thought process, and that is, we're going to do it to where you can manage it over the top and then have different groups underneath which can sub-manage. So I would think, I don't think anything. The reality is Deep Instinct stepped back and said, hey, if this product looks right for you, we want to make sure that all the pieces are there, and we want to make it a great product. And that's a refreshing thing, because most vendors, if you look in the IT space, most vendors are, here's our product, here's our portal. And then that's kind of where it stops. There's no movement beyond that. And I found it super refreshing that Deep Instinct really came to the table and said, hey, we don't want to just be a vendor, but we truly want to be a partner. In other words, at the end of the day, we really, really want to make this work. I think if you start looking at when we started pushing Deep Instinct, obviously we chose Deep Instinct to replace our existing endpoint security. And in the midst of that, so we start pushing Deep Instinct. If you think back, I remember a report, or one of the things that came back, where the environment, obviously because we have lots of MSPs that live underneath our umbrella, there was lots of different antiviruses. What became apparently clear once Deep Instinct started being pushed out?
Deploying Deep Instinct in some of the environments some of our legacy antivirus products have been in, we saw bits and pieces of ransomware attacks that had happened a year or 2 years ago, and Deep Instinct was picking up pieces and traces of that ransomware that was left behind, that wasn't cleaned up. So it was it was pretty enlightening to just how big of a vulnerability and a hole those legacy antiviruses tools were leaving behind. And so seeing what was picked up just showed us and confirmed what we knew about how powerful this tool was.
Yeah, I think there was like 30-something different types of antivirus in our environment. Obviously, that's because a lot of MSPs, when they come in, they move through an onboarding process to get to the standardized products that we use. So there's lots of things in the beginning, but I think it was crazy. I was talking to one of the engineers at Deep Instinct, and he was showing me all of this stuff, and all of a sudden it was, hey, you've got all these pieces, because literally it picks it up before it executes.
Yeah. On the file copy.
Isn't that crazy? Mm. It's the other flip side of the coin, where your other guys, it's truly detect. They detect something that is executed, and then it says something.
Yeah.
So if you've got ransomware sitting there and it's not doing anything, it's just sitting there. So it hasn't executed yet or anything. From what I understood in this was it's just like a ticking time bomb put in a car waiting for somebody to pull the button on it.
Yeah.
Where Deep Instinct found those things and literally prevent them. In other words, put all the pieces in play where it's really good. I think we've had a couple people come on where they've brought a new client on. I can think of one off the top of my head that had, and I may be wrong exactly what it was, but I think it was Emotet, where they actually pushed Deep Instinct into the environment after it executed, and all the other antiviruses and the tools and things that they were using, they were trying to get it to stop and mitigate this problem. And here we go, and we push Deep Instinct into it, and all of a sudden it's like, problem solved.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, it is crazy. From you, have you seen anything else from the viewpoint of? Obviously, you're the technical side, so you get to see a lot of things I don't get to see. But if you could go back now, so you've got Deep Instinct, you know it, and then you've got other products out there, and we could name them, but I don't think it's probably fair, because we would really poke holes in a lot of endpoint out there. And it's not our job to do that. It's our job to take care of our clients. But at the same time, I think we would be amiss to not ask the simple question. If we were to go back right now, knowing everything we know, do you still pick Deep Instinct?
Oh, absolutely. I think just looking at the sheer volume and the sheer difference between what it does, I think some of the things that we've seen in the files and the things that were missed is just a strictly built on the way it's designed and built. So your traditional antivirus is only going to pick up a fraction of different file types on a system, where Deep Instinct is going to look through everything regardless of the file types, picks up macros in different files, and all these things that legacy antivirus misses. And knowing what we know now, we'd be insane not to do the.
We'd be nuts,
Yeah.
huh?
Oh, absolutely.
I never even heard this term, fileless.
Yeah, fileless.
I mean, how do you have a fileless virus attack?
Yeah.
But the reality is we've probably never heard of it, because most of our endpoint security
Yeah.
does not cover it.
Oh, absolutely.
So they don't even clue what that is. And so when Deep Instinct came along and they started talking about, yeah, we even do fileless. I'm like, what is a fileless attack? And then I just came to the conclusion, I really don't care. They're again, remember this, and this was really, to me, the big play on this. It's prevent versus protect. Protect means when somebody breaks into your house, the alarm goes off. You still got to shoot them, right? Prevent means I'm going to put a door there that they can't break into. So there's no real need for the alarm to go off and all the other things. And that's a huge differentiator for me. I think, to me, that's like a night and day product difference that I don't think the marketplace really knows about.
Yeah. No.
You know? So, cool stuff, man.
Yeah.
Hey, John, I appreciate you coming today. And if you haven't looked at Deep Instinct out there, I would big time push you at least to look at it, because it changes the dynamics of everything, especially on the endpoint. Any last word?
No. No. Nothing.
He's trying to say we love Deep Instinct. He just didn't want to say it out loud.
I would have worn my T-shirt, but I didn't want to ruin this shirt.
That's it. Appreciate it.